Thanks, Miranda. Actually, we're going to take a couple minutes and I'm going to ask all of our sponsor panel participants to come up on stage, and then we will get started in just a second. So if you are one of our participants, please join me up here. So first of all, I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. We have all of them shown here. We'll be hearing from a few of our gold and platinum level sponsors in just a minute. But before we do that, let's take a second to thank all of the sponsors. We really couldn't do this without them. So with that, I am going to hand it over to our first sponsor speaker, which will be Lee Liming from Globus.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to spend a few minutes to make sure everybody knows who we are and why we're here at USRSE. We are a nonprofit service provider based at the University of Chicago. We are a nonprofit because we're at the university. What we are trying to do is to reimagine the way research information technology is provided to researchers by providing it as a platform, as a service, the same as all of your cloud service providers, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, et cetera. And also as software as service, applications that you can use just by opening up your web browser and pointing at our web application. In those forms, we are trying to solve some of the long-standing things that irk researchers day in and day out as they are trying to do collaborative science. They range from the oldest managed data transfer and sync, data sharing, unified data access, and publication and discovery, search. The two that were featured in tutorials here at USRSE this week, managed remote execution with Globus Compute and reliable automation with Globus Flows. Just a reminder, the tutorial recordings are available online on the YouTube playlist that was provided by the conference, and so I would strongly encourage you to go and watch all the wonderful tutorials that were provided by teams last week. Globus has been around as a team for almost 30 years now. We're approaching our 30-year birthday. But we've been providing software as a service and platform as a service for about 15 of those years, the last 15 years. The numbers that you see on the screen here are big numbers. That's great. But I just want to note that these are not lifetime numbers. These are not like, accumulated over 15 years. These are just the last 12 months. So this is what the last year has looked like for Globus. More than 500,000 people using the service in the last 12 months. More than 2,500 institutions with some sort of resource that's Globus accessible on their campus or in their research labs. And more than 60,000 collections of data that are available one way or another through Globus. And about 80 countries. So we're very happy to see a lot of people around the world using Globus as well. We are research software engineers. Globus itself, we are all employees of the University of Chicago. Our mission is explicitly about supporting researchers. We flirted back in the early 2000s with commercializing Globus and discovered that was not a way to sustain our work supporting researchers. And so we backed away from it. And we are now totally in on supporting researchers. There are some companies that use Globus, but they're the atypical cases, and we charge them more. Don't tell anybody. Also, the people who work on our team are career professionals in software engineering. All the different types of IT professionals: DevOps, software engineers, software integration, full stack web developers. And if you're interested in a career at Globus, we are based in Chicago in the NBC Tower, our new space, after moving about a block away from the building above the Apple Store. And we have flexible schedules, remote hybrid work available. I live here in Albuquerque, and so I'm your case study of somebody who works for Globus but is not in Chicago. I think maybe half of our team is remote, actually. Yeah, that's it. So I encourage you to consider Globus when you're looking around for RSE careers as you move on in your career. Thanks.
Thanks, Lee. Next, we're going to hear from Mark Fisher with Lenovo. And I should have specified, we'll have some time for questions at the end. So if you have questions for any of our sponsors, you can save them until they've all spoken.
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Fisher. I'm a part of the HPC team. I actually lead the HPC and AI sales team here for North America. And I just wanted to go a little bit into who we are and what we can bring to you guys here. So most people tend to know Lenovo from our PC side of the house, but we're actually a part of the data center side and specifically focus on high-end computing. And our strategy and mission here on the data center side has really not wavered since we've begun. We want to be the most trusted partner empowering customers' intelligent transformation, and the part that I appreciate the most is helping solve humanity's greatest challenges. We know you here as software engineers are tackling some very large, complex problems and are wondering what can Lenovo do to bring value to you. So we actually focus a lot on collaborations, and we're very successful at those collaborations. So a lot of folks know about the supercomputing conference. The next one is coming up here next month. But last year, actually, Lenovo was awarded multiple awards by the HPC Wire community back at Supercomputing 2023. We're very proud of this. We ended up winning 9 awards, of which three are for great vendor to watch out for, as well as great products. But what we're actually the most proud of is 6 of these awards are for research collaborations, where we work with you, the users, the scientists, to ultimately solve a grand challenge. We have scientists in-house, we have researchers, benchmarkers, development expertise, and we'd love to bring those to the table and work with you to solve these grand challenges. That's really where we find the most success with our customers. In addition to that, we obviously make some rock solid products. Liquid cooling tends to be the hot thing these days, no pun intended. But the real reason we're proud of this is a long path for us. It's been over a decade where we've developed liquid cooled systems. We can do up to 98% heat capture to fluid, and we're very proud of the sustainability story and message that we're able to provide to the community. As you are going out and creating complex problems, those problems you want to accelerate, the Lenovo platform is the place that's going to get it done. So with that, I appreciate it, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mark. Our next speaker is going to be Ian Cosden from Princeton.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ian Cosden. I'm the Senior Director for Research Software Engineering in the Research Computing Department, and really excited to once again sponsor this conference. I might be a little bit biased by thinking this is a wonderful group of people, but so are the folks at Princeton, so I get to tell you a little bit about what we do. We are in the... Maybe it's coming. There we go. So we are housed within research computing. We are not the only research software engineers at Princeton. There are obviously RSEs scattered throughout. There's a team at Center for Digital Humanities, a team in genomics, and a number of individuals spread out. But I'm going to talk mostly about what we do in research computing, where we have this large centralized team. Look, our goal is to work with researchers. You know the deal of RSEs. We're trying to advance research in general through software development. I apologize to a couple of folks who are here that picture being a year old is pretty out of date. We've grown a lot. I just want to give you a flavor of some of the stuff that we do. So I picked out 4 projects at random. They're not even representative. They're just a sampling. So the first is Aspire. This is a partnership we have with the Program for Applied and Computational Math. looking at cryo-EM particle reconstruction. So all these tiny particles come out of this soup of noisy-looking microscope images, and they reconstruct the particles through a series of things. Been developed over decades by mathematicians in MATLAB. 100,000 lines of MATLAB doesn't go anywhere real quick, so this is a perfect job for a team of RSEs to build into a usable package by the biologists who want to reconstruct these. Groundwater hydrologic modeling. This is a ML and physics-based web interface to allow policymakers, decision makers to do scenario planning for different hydrologic events and modeling. This is an example of one we have with molecular biology, looking at confocal microscopes of mouse skin cells and how hair follicles start to grow. It must be interesting to the biologists. But the issue was that they had these images that they needed to reconstruct and stack into 3 dimensions. And so we built a tool for them to be able to do this. And the last one I'm going to show, since it happens to be an election year, we also get involved in politics and stuff like that. So this is a case where we partnered with politics and library to provide an easier to use interface for researchers to look at voter registration and various details. We've got way more. I clearly don't have enough time to go through all of them. So I just tried to grab some fun pictures and give you a flavor of about 27 different departments that we have active projects with. These are the ones that we have at the moment. We've been growing rapidly. We continue to grow. We're up at 34 people as of today. We've got a few more coming. Which is really the main reason that I wanted to mention if you're interested in RSEs at Princeton, we've got a couple open positions. One's working with, as a lead RSE, working with generative AI, large language models with Princeton Language and Intelligence, and the other one's in the Center for Digital Humanities. There's lots of us here, including folks from CDH, so if you want to find us the rest of the day to talk to us, we're here. They're nodding. I just put them on the spot that they said it would be all right. We've got some more coming with the hydrologic modeling one, some quantum computing. There's more in the works, and fingers crossed we'll have some summer student opportunities as well, both in person and remote. So we don't want to bring stickers home, we don't want to bring pens home, so stop by our booth and pick some up and bring them back. Check out our website for more, and I promise any job at RSE that we get, we will post on the US RSE job board, so you can go there too and see it. So I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. Our next speaker will be Joshua Tevis from Sandia.
Howdy, I'm Joshua Tevis. I'm with Sandia National Laboratories, and we do all sorts of fun stuff that I'm happy to tell you about as soon as I figure out how to operate this. There we go. Sandia has a wide-ranging impact. We do all sorts of things. We worked on the Mars Perseverance rover. We invented the clean room. Seems pretty important for computing. We've done things like combat viruses. We've done things with sustainable energy. So we really like to have our fingers just in every pie. Today we do all sorts of things to bring science and technology to bear on critical problems that face our nation and really the world at large. And we like to have our staff be part of something more. Sometimes people think that this is just a corporate nonsense thing. I happen to think that we actually do a very good job of actually doing things that help the world be a better place. We have all sorts of sites. And these are all the various laboratories. Many of you are at some of them. And we have our site in New Mexico and one in California. And we fulfill a national security mission where we protect the United States from threats at home and abroad and implement technical solutions to all sorts of challenges. And we work on nuclear deterrence and have all sorts of national security programs and work on energy and homeland security too. And we also have advanced science and technology, which is our catch-all for really cool and hard problems that we need to throw lots of really smart people at. We have these values of serving the nation, respecting each other, acting with integrity, delivering with excellence, and teaming for great results. We have R&D kind of all over the place. We have all sorts of disciplines. This probably looks like a really familiar distribution to lots of RSEs, where we have some mechanical engineering people, some electrical engineering people, some physics people, some chemistry people, and some people off in some engineering subdisciplines. So for RSEs at Sandia, I'm in the department 1424 Software Engineering and Research, and we do all sorts of fun cross-disciplinary work. We work within the Center for Computing Research, and we have the goal of advancing research and practice for software engineering. We have this model of researching things, developing them, and then eventually deploying them for wider use. And we aim to have a critical mass of staff in all of these areas and kind of really work together to produce really cutting-edge solutions that people can use. We have this really nifty thing where we have this community of practice for RSE at Sandia. This kind of started in 2022. It's still going today. We have our own Jason Gates in the RSE EOP, who submitted a bunch of talks that a lot of you voted on. Also likes to give lots of talks at this, and people like them there too. The goals of the RSE COP is to build community, share knowledge, share better practices, and do advocacy and try and kind of have outreach and impact across the lab. We just had our anniversary celebration of the RSE COP. It was very fun. And we have a mailing list that's over 170 members. We actually had one talk on the CrowdStrike outage where we had over 300 attendees, and that was very fun. And I believe that is all the time I've got. Oh, okay. Then in that case, I'll just keep bragging on Sandia. Okay, so some of you might see some Los Alamos folks around, and they'll tell you about how we're the rib that was brought out of their atom, we're Z Division, you know, we're second place, things like this. And to that I say, last night I went on Realtor.com and I punched in a filtered search for houses under $600,000 with at least 2 bedrooms in Los Alamos, and I got one result, which is a $570,000 house. So if you really want to work at Los Alamos and live in Los Alamos, I put forward for your consideration that you'd better jump on that house. I'll also brag on the fact that we have all sorts of really fun people to work with. You've noticed that a lot of our department members are very active in the RSE community, and we've done a really great job of building a community culture. And to that end, if you see one of us walking around, I encourage you to ask us about how our group works. I think we do a lot of cool things. There are other Sandians around that work on really cool projects, all the way from cybersecurity to kind of energy technology. We also have hybrid and remote work, which I know has become an increasingly contentious topic in some areas. In fact, in our host city, I saw some headlines about some contention over hybrid and remote work. But Sandia does allow it. We have a formal policy in place. I work full-time remote from Ohio, which is nowhere close to Albuquerque, and it's pretty cool. And since I have more bragging time, I will say that we have really great mentorship strategies within our department. We would love to talk to you about those too. And that Sandia has been a very consistent sponsor of US RSE events, and we're hoping to investigate maybe some future sponsorship opportunities. And I think now I'm at time. Okay.
Thanks, Joshua. Next we'll hear from Christina Reamer from the University of Arizona.
Hello. My name is Christina Reamer. I'm at the University of Arizona. I'm just repeating what Abby said, I guess. We don't have any slides, so sorry about that. So I'm here actually representing the Institute for Computation and Data Enabled Insight, or ICDI. They're the ones who actually sponsored the conference from U of A. I actually run a different team, a small data science team, but we work with ICDI sometimes. And the main thing that we wanted to talk about here with y'all is that we're hoping to build an RSE community at U of A. We don't really have one right now, but we imagine there's a lot of embedded RSEs who don't even know they're RSEs at U of A, and we'd like to try to bring them together. So with ICDI and my group, and then also with RII, which is our research division, the Data Science Institute, our centralized IT unit, and then Arizona Research Computing, we're hoping to all kind of work together to sort of create this RSE community for people to come together. And so we want to have a more formalized program and sort of build that across time. And so we're going to have a few steps that we're going to work towards in the near future. The first thing is going to be to try to create a hub to connect all of the RSEs, maybe find some like collaboration opportunities and such with people in different units. We also want to create a formalized description for HR because we don't have anything that's RSE, titled RSE in our job system at U of A. And we're also hoping to create a system where people can kind of share what tools and skills they have with each other so everybody knows what other people are aware of and can work together or redirect people if they don't know how to do something but they know someone else who can. And then, yeah, we're also hoping to work towards providing workshops for people to upskill and to learn more interdisciplinary techniques and such. So, yeah, if you've had success building an RSE community at your institution, we would like to talk to you about that. That would be great. If you want to know more about ICDI in particular, you'll have to talk to Angela Cruz or Barney McCabe because I don't know all of what they do, but they could probably tell you and would love to. And that's it for us. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Christina. Our final presenter is Kenton McHenry from the University of Illinois, and he has actually prepared a video for us to watch.
Delete.
So, Colleen, what do you like best about NCSA?
Delete. Working with you, Kenton.
So, what do you like about NCSA? Cut.
Attacked me.
What? This is Visu, our RC, who hasn't seen Ghostbusters. He's that young. So, in HTML, you created the table element.
I did not create it, Eric.
Can you tell us about
did.
that? But you asked for it.
Yes. I think it was already created. He just implemented it.
Okay.
So,
All right. Chris, what do you like about NCSA? Wow. Cut. What do you like about NCSA?
Unlike when I worked in the private sector, I like NCSA because I get to work directly with scientists and researchers and people in industry to have like a very direct impact on society and science. And I get to use cool technology while I'm doing it.
All right, Visu, what do you like about NCSA?
To know that the work you're doing has a greater impact and that you're not just a cause, and also the free food.
You're quoting things I've said.
So, that's true.
Chris, how would you explain your job to a 5-year-old?
Well, I think I've got a pretty good representative of the 5-year-old community here, so would you
That
like
was a
to-
dig. It's always confused me, the TR and the TD and what they stand for.
how do you even remember that?
Oh, you don't?
I help scientists and doctors.
Oh, okay.
Row. I remember row.
Yeah, TR is what's D?
I don't even remember.
And what?
Data?
That's what about
Data?
C for column?
I have no idea.
Anyway.
I have no idea. You didn't make up the tags. I think those were already there.
And engineers, when they need help with all the information they have to process,
What do you like about NCSA?
I help them organize it and slice it up into the pieces that they really need to look at and help them do their...
Yeah, I like the culture at NCSU. We're never satisfied with just the status quo.
Oh, I love that. I wrote it down as a quote. I'm putting in my slides down the TV.
work with the data so that they can do it faster and easier. How's that?
That took a lot of time for my 5-minute presentation.
Well, you can clip it.
If you had to explain your job to a 5-year-old, how would you do it?
Whenever scientists need help with the coding thingy, I do it.
Cody, that's the best you can do.
For the 5-year-old.
What I like about NCSA is the camaraderie that's here.
Oh, that's sweet.
There are so many collaborations with so many different people, and everybody tries to excel at what they do.
She's taking this way too seriously.
Oh, really? Every Wednesday we had a lunch, or today it was Tuesday, where we laugh our asses off, and I don't know why, but you don't pay attention to us. You walk by our lunchroom every day.
How did this become about me?
Waving at you.
You're an advanced RSC now, but when you started, you told me something about Notepad++.
Yeah, when I started, I wrote a whole app, complete the whole app in Notepad++.
We fixed her though. She's good. We've been getting a lot of feedback about these TPS reports. What do you think about them?
What's a TPS report?
Oh man.
TPW?
No, it's a movie. Okay, Rob Cooper. What do you think of him?
Dutch.
That summarizes it. Wait, Rob Cooper.
Yes.
What do you know about him?
I know a lot about Rob.
What do you think of him?
I think he's seriously funny.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
He's kind of like a porcupine.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Once you pet him down, he's a softie.
Oh, but before that,
he's bristly.
What do you think of Rob Cooper?
The Dutch madman? The Coop? I think you already know the answer.
Last question. Do you know this person, Rob Cooper? Do you know him?
Of course I do.
What do you think of Rob Cooper?
I like him just as much as I like you, Kenton.
That was an insult. He's deadly bristly. Okay.
On the outside.
All right.
But then he's super, super sweet and super considerate.
That's not true.
Hello?
All right, Rob Cooper. What do you think of him?
Where's the boss?
No, it's not even works. I'm the boss. Is he a nice guy? Oh, that wasn't real. And I'm awesome too, right?
Oh yeah, that.
Yes.
I'm trying to help. I'm not just being a...
All right, thank you to all of our presenters one more time. And now we have some time for questions, if anyone has a question for any of our sponsors here. Right up front here. They're coming.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Was it from Office Space?
Of course.
Yes. Do you still have your red swing line stapler?
No, my colleague does though.
Bummer.
And I steal it.
No, I want to say thank you. I don't actually have any questions. I just wanted to say I recognized what the reference was. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is the gentleman from Lenovo still here?
Yes.
Can you speak to, I guess, another one of your projects that is in your wheelhouse that does not directly involve liquid cooling?
Yep. Many of our research collaborations don't necessarily involve specifically hardware in a sense. A lot of it is focused on grand challenges that universities or government entities are facing. Obviously, from a Lenovo perspective, we sell solutions that many times involve hardware. So from our perspective, we do see the industry moving towards liquid cooling, but we understand that most customers are not on the liquid-cooled path or deployed it today. So we do have full air-cooled systems as well as hybrid systems as well that could be easily deployed. But in terms of collaborations, I mean, it really comes down to the challenges that customers are asking to be faced. A good example would be somebody's approached us trying to optimize specifically for GPUs, taking their application and really accelerating it as much as possible. And so we're able to bring our engineers, our benchmarkers, our application specialists to the table, understanding the hardware platform that it's going to land on, and ultimately optimizing that workflow accordingly. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Hello. 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 This is for Dr. Kosden. As somebody who, I've recently seen you putting out opportunities for students, internships and fellowships. Do you have any recommendations on how individual students can either get more prepared or get more information to be prepared for those internships and what you guys are looking for?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I guess I would answer with saying that we're looking for people who want to do this role, but it's okay that you're unprepared for it. That's part of this experience. It's to experience research software engineering, you know, in the wild and see exactly what that is like. So in terms of what we would look for as a student, it's someone who has, you know, many different backgrounds are fine, but someone who wants to come in and learn research software engineering and apply it in what they've learned in this new setting. Because we know people don't go to school to be research software engineers. So that's part of why we want to make this opportunity available. And it's kind of a win-win. The RSCs enjoy teaching some of the things that they've learned and paying it forward. So I hope that answered your question.
Any other questions? Oh, there's one over here.
I have a comment more than a question. My coworker here just bought a house in Los Alamos, and it was worth it.
Nope. No comment.
In the orange.
Hi, Kenton. Question for you.
For everybody in the audience, this is Rob Cooper.
What do you think of Rob Cooper?
Oh, that's all. Oh. What I think what? No comment.
On the topic of houses, don't even try to buy a house in Princeton. 600 is cheap. 600 is a hut.
Not helping, Kurt.
I have a question for those who are not living in the US. I don't know if there are many, but I'm one of them. And so some of you, like Globus or Princeton, you talked about job opportunities. Would you consider having workers who are living outside of the US?
We do actually have a few already, so yes. But I would say that travel to the United States would be required because we do have events and meetings with research teams here that you would have to attend. So you'd have to be on board with traveling to the US a few times a year.
Would I consider? Yes. Would Princeton? No. So there is, we're able to sponsor visas, which we couldn't for a while. We're making progress towards things like green cards, but there is an expectation of a hybrid, partially in the office, or majority of time on campus. So maybe we'll continue to make some success with that, but for now, you can move to cheap Princeton.
Keith, go ahead.
Oh, on the house topic, I bought a house.
I regret this.
I bought a house for $600,000 in California, the Bay Area, but that was 24 years ago. 24 years ago.
Just to clarify, that's only if you want to live in Princeton. There are lots of towns around Princeton. It's just in Princeton the houses are expensive. So maybe if you look outside of Los Alamos.
I have a question for Josh.
Oh, no.
Would you agree that Sandia is the funniest of the labs?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Over here.
Tucson is a really affordable place to live, just FYI. I don't actually live there myself, but it is pretty affordable. So.
I do have a very important comment. I think it's important to remember that we all make choices that we regret, and that comment is now one of mine.
So thank you very much. I see that a number of you have job listings. That's wonderful. Do you think there's any way that I could work for all of you at once?
Okay, we have time for a few more if there are any other questions.
I'll just add that Urbana-Champaign is really cheap to live in. You could buy like a mansion for nothing.
Oh, I think back there's one more.
Hi, so you guys each talked about your organization and how it's being used to support RSCs, but what is your guys' intrinsic motivation? What got you guys on this path to be RSCs as yourselves?
Anybody want to take that one?
I'm an ecologist by training, and I used to do a lot of field work, but then I discovered that computers are really fun, and I can do a lot more work with them instead of going out and trying to collect a lot of samples myself. That's about it.
Great, thanks.
Thanks. I was a science geek as a kid, and I was around, I don't want to say too much because I will reveal my age, but a lot of my graduating class from university went off to Silicon Valley in one of the first waves of hiring there, and there was a lot of money to be made, and so I stayed in IT. But I think that being a research software engineer is a fantastic way to get your science geek on at the same time that you are hopefully in a fairly lucrative job or career. And I also enjoy software and software engineering as well.
Thanks.
I'll be honest, I am not a research science software engineer, as you might have guessed. I actually do not have a background in computer engineering or computer science either. But Lenovo recognizes we obviously sell solutions that require software, and if you guys don't produce that accordingly, all I do is provide really giant paperweights that are very, very expensive. So my background's mechanical engineering. When I was in high school, I knew more than anyone else I knew exactly what I wanted to do. That was go be a mechanical engineer and design cars because they were the coolest things in the world. And so I got an undergrad in mechanical engineering. I did a master's. I went and worked for a little while, went back and did a PhD. And there was still something missing. And a little bit of that, slightly more experienced thing. I thought, I can't do something I don't love for the rest of my life. But what is it? I was like, you know what? I like writing code more. I'll stay up all night writing MPI stuff. I know, it's a little weird, but maybe this is the audience I can say this to. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to go work for a hedge fund or like sell my soul for these things. I'm like, I want to stay kind of in the science, but writing code. And RSC wasn't a thing yet, and now it is. And so it's very clear that this is why I do what I do, because there's a need. It's fun. I sometimes live vicariously through the RSCs that are doing the actual cool work, but I try to open the door and enable them to be able to do it and have the impact on the societal impact on cool work.
When was the last time you
define coded. Seriously, probably 5 years ago.
So for me, similar story. I did a PhD in computer science AI. Did not do what I needed to do to go to faculty route. Didn't publish enough, you name it. But I fell into NCSA, where I was able to do the two things I love, to be involved in science and write code. So it was perfect.
So I basically got into this by a series of accidents. When I was a teenager and trying to decide what I wanted to do in college, I was very interested in physics. And my dad said, you know, Joshua, you really like computers. Why don't you do that instead? And I was a teenager and I said, Dad, you're wrong. And then I went and got a physics degree. And then I thought I'd try the PhD thing, and I really did not like the PhD thing. And then it turns out that when you drop out of PhD programs, you actually still have to find a job and pay bills and so forth. And the first one I got had a little bit of MATLAB, and then things kind of spiraled from there, and now I'm here.
Thank you all. And thanks for the question. I see one more here.
Question. All of you say you're hiring people. What is it that you look for when you're trying to hire somebody? What is the main thing that you say when somebody walks into the door, say, that is the person I want?
Smart, motivated people who know how to work effectively with other smart, motivated people.
I think Rob knows my answer. Passionate people who want to learn and do new things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo those and say, realistically, there is sort of a baseline technical knowledge. But that's something that if you're motivated, interested, and naturally curious, that you're going to build on, because this field changes really fast. And it's not about what you know right now, it's about what you're going to learn to be able to do the project that you're going to get on next. And so finding someone who has that foundation to build on, but kind of the intrinsic curiosity and interest to learn more fits really well into this role.
I mean, what I look for is curiosity. I think you touched on it. Folks that are curious, want to ask more questions, understand things. A lot is changing in this space very, very quickly.
So at Globus, at the University of Chicago, we are looking for people who have several years of experience already. Most of the people who work on Globus products have worked in the software industry. But not everybody. So you can get to us through an academic route as well. What we found is the best fit for us is people who enjoy working in the startup environment, because we're a pretty small organization and we run ourselves like a startup, but who are also mission driven. And Globus, again, our mission is to support researchers and scientists and have an impact on research and science. And some of our most passionate employees are the ones who come to us and say, you know, I had a job at Google, I had a job at Microsoft, but I don't like working for a big corporate organization. I want to have an impact on the world. That's why they come to us.
I think for me, it's people who are excited about helping other people. That's like really the main thing, is people really need to be motivated to like make other researchers' lives better and easier and all of that stuff. Also, we really need people who are good at communicating, which sometimes is lacking in some scientists, unfortunately. Like, we really need to be able to have people who can translate like what the researchers are saying or need or looking for. Also, getting them to actually like tell us what they need is sometimes difficult. So, yeah, high-level communication is super important too.
Yeah, thank you. Sandra?
Yeah, can you maybe share with us some of your job descriptions or, you know, the career path or something? Because it would be nice for USRC to have a collection. I know that it's, I talked, for example, with SDSC, and HR does not like to share them openly, that you can put them on the website. I don't know whether some of you can share them.
I'm scraping them off of web pages, so I'm building a collection anyway. But please share directly, that would be easier.
Was that like a share right now or just a general comment? It would be nice if they could share those things with you going forward.
A general comment,
Okay.
whether they can share it.
I wonder if, hope so, does this work? Okay, does this work? Hey, I wonder if any of you can share what's your vision to your team in the next 5 years? I know what's going to happen to NCSA, so continue, don't need to answer it.
My manager is in the audience, and my vision is in perfect alignment with her very perfect vision. Wow.
Does anyone have a 5-year vision they want to share?
I mean, I guess what I will say is that we've grown a lot, so that what I see for Princeton RC is continued transformative impact on research. So we want to continue to be able to get the feedback from researchers saying, we couldn't have done this without you, you changed the work that we did, and the way that we do that is by being valued collaborators on research projects. So I don't know if you're getting at sort of continued growth. I think we might grow a little bit, but we're starting to plateau. But sustained research contribution.
So I think Ian said it very well. I think all of us in the research space are going to say, sustained impact on science and engineering and research. A couple of things that I share with my team are I aspire to have the people on our team continually learn. You already said that, and also and become sharper at whatever they're doing. And also to be really good at finding out what research teams and science teams need. The reality that we have encountered is that a lot of times these teams don't even know yet what to ask for. We can, by talking with them and by communicating clearly with them, can find out together with them that there are things that we can do for them that they never even imagined. And that is a skill that I think all research software engineers need to have, is the ability to talk with research and science teams and help them figure out what they need so that we can provide it to them. Somebody back, right?
Christina.
Oh, sorry.
For my group in particular, my 5-year vision, or maybe it's a little longer than 5 years, I talked about it yesterday during my talk about my group, so if you weren't there, I'm sorry. For the University of Arizona in the next 5 years, I hope they stop screwing up our finances and spending too much money on things that we don't need to be spending money on.
So I'll not say 5 years, I'll say long-term, as my team probably knows, is my goal, my vision for all of us here is for everyone to finally realize that each of you, the institutional knowledge that you hold with the software that you make, is directly linked to that software sustainability. And for campuses to realize that that is something to preserve and to offer RSC's tenure.
Okay, after taking a beat, I have a non-cop-out answer for you. I have a vision, and I don't think that that's the most important thing. There are a lot of different visions for what we could be doing in 5 years. And what I think is phenomenal about our department in particular is that those visions can coexist and we work it out and we get things done. And I think that that's a really special thing that is sometimes very hard to find. I think that there's probably broad consensus that we should be doing things that help researchers do their research better, and that there's some infrastructure that needs to be made, some software advances that need to be made, and some strategies that need to be figured out for how to do that most effectively, so that in 5 years, when a researcher comes to us and asks for help, we are able to help them right away.
Thank you. I think I saw one more question back there. Yep.
Not unto ourselves alone are we born, and RSCs comes from families. Many of us have partners or spouses, and I'm curious about what your organizations do to support spouses and families if they're going to move across the country to join your organization.
I couldn't quite.
The question was, how do you support the spouses of the people working for you, right?
How do your organizations support spouses and families who perhaps move across the country with you? And
I mean, I let people work remotely. And encourage it as I work remotely myself. So hopefully that's helpful.
I also work remotely, and I think that Sandia has a lot of options for families. It's a very family-focused organization, and they try to do a lot of things for us. And as a concrete example, I get 2 sets of paternity leave, and in 2 weeks I'll be taking that second set. So that will be really helpful for my spouse, I think.
Unfortunately, we're not faculty. For faculty, what we do is 2/3 of their salary is covered for the spouse to be a spousal hire. One day, that should be the case for RSCs.
That sounds good. I will say that, besides relocation, I'm not Princeton HR, so it could direct you to Princeton HR for the official, so caveat, star, asterisk, footnote. There is a group that works with trying to make spousal placements and help spouses find positions if that's something that is, of interest for hires above a certain level of which RSCs would fit.
Well, with Lenovo, they were actually ranked as a great place to work, so there's a lot of benefits, whether it's paternity leave, maternity leave, vacation, unlimited vacation. We're big advocates for working remotely, so I know Lenovo may not be a traditional RSC location for a lot of folks. We are always looking for additional expertise around software to really optimize platforms and understand what our users are experiencing.
I just want to pile on that a little bit and say that I was last week meeting with a Lenovo employee who was talking about the unlimited vacation policy, and he was a manager, and he talked about how valuable that was to the organization. So I think that's wonderful. University of Chicago, I'm a good example. I worked in Chicago for 7 years, and then when my family we had our second child, we moved to Albuquerque because that's where my wife's family was. It made all the difference in my ability to do my job. I can confidently say that everyone in the Globus organization, all of our managers, all of our management structure, is very supportive of the fact that we all have lives, and we can't do our job if we're not taking care of our life. And so we are always very flexible with people about when you need to rearrange your schedule or move to a different place or go to that doctor appointment. That's really important, and we all know you can't reschedule doctor appointments anymore without waiting for a very long time. And so it's important. I think it's really important for all people in technical fields. I think of research software engineering as a creative field. A lot of people don't. They think, oh, it's technical, you're dealing with software and code and stuff. But I think we have to be creative to do our job. And in creative professions, they've known for a long time that you need to make space in your life for just relaxation. Otherwise, you'll never come up with that great idea that it needs to get out there. So think of yourself as a creative professional and act accordingly and demand those kinds of perks.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question right over here.
As leaders and decision makers in your organizations and people who are managing teams and growing teams, how do you see the role of generative AI impacting your mission, your challenges you face, your staffing needs? Do you have plans or thoughts around this, or no comment?
I have the mic next to me, so I'll start, then I'll pass it on to the rest of you. I don't know. I don't know yet. It's too early to say. Having said that, I've been in this field for almost 40 years now. I've seen a lot of waves come through. This one seems maybe a little different. But it's the first time that I've seen, a system that could write code maybe better than me now. But it still requires a lot of supervision, and you have to know what the right solution is in order to recognize it from generative AI. And that's going to continue to be key, I think, for a while. Honestly, we helped develop the darn stuff, so I feel a little bit of responsibility towards it. And I'm hoping that what it will do is it will give us freedom to do new things that we haven't been able to do before because we just didn't have time, and we were too busy doing boring stuff, and maybe it'll help us with some of that stuff. I'm just hopeful that it doesn't cause more problems than it creates.
I think we have time for one more answer, so who wants to?
I got one. So as RSCs, I think many of us are split across bunches of projects at any given time. And well, that's definitely the case for NCSA. And typically they're under scoped. So we're doing, we're on at 25%, but we're doing 50% time kind of work. So Chen Wang, who was in that video, she came to us one time and said, ChatGPT has made me so much more productive. She can now do all these different things. And I use it all the time too. It's fantastic for RSCs.
All right, thank you all. Let's give our sponsors one more round of applause. Thank you so much for sponsoring and for being up here today.